Hey guys, Scott Franklin here from Scott Franklin Performance Coaching. I help people live awesome lives with no regrets. So in today's video, I want to cover why do narcissists hurt you, but then they act like you hurt them. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to cover is in my book, Limitless, The Power of Your Authentic Self. If you'd like a copy of my book, just comment the word book and I'll send you the link so that you can purchase yourself a copy from my website. The book's also good if you've been thinking about doing some coaching but you're not quite ready for coaching yet. Grab yourself a copy of your book. We'll give you some insights into what I use in my coaching. So, all right. So with the narcissist, why do they do that? Have you ever noticed the narcissist? I'm talking about the evil, manipulative, toxic, selfish type people that whenever they tell you, they're always talking to you about other people for starters. So that's a red flag. But have you ever noticed that in all their stories, they're either the hero or the victim, but they're never the villain, right? So I've seen that quote card around and people talk about that openly. That's nothing new, but it's just another way to spot, how they do it. Their stories is always they're the hero in it or they're the victim. Someone's always done wrong by them, but the point is they never take responsibility for their actions, right? They're never apologizing, never accepting responsibility. They're not learning any life lessons relative to the situation. They don't see the role that they've played in creating the mess. What else? Yep. So the other thing is they just never ever apologize. So they're quite happy to take an apology from you, but you'll never get one in return from them. And if you do, it's always going to be a fake one. They're just saying it. They don't really mean it. They don't really mean it because they haven't really learnt the life lesson, because they don't really want to go internally and reflect over the situation and think what they might have done wrong, because this narcissistic trait could become such a strong trait of theirs that they've been doing this shit for years. And if they start going internally and reflecting upon their life and the things they've done, they're going to realize they've created quite a mess and hurt a lot of people. So they don't really want to face that or have a look at it. So that's another reason why. They're very cold, calculating, strategic, and they plot. So they will sit there and they will map out conversations and interactions and how to play people off against one another. They'll think who's the most easily manipulated in a group of people, or who can I tell a message to that will tell other people. They think about all of these types of things to work against you as well. So again, talking about other people, playing people off against one another. They get you to react. So this is the main thing, right? One of the main reasons they do it is because they want you to react. They want you to emotionally react. And once you emotionally react, they win. They get some kind of pleasure, right? So think of the ego in the head, that negative voice in the head. It doesn't actually feel happy. It only feels pleasure, right? But pleasure is like a hit of coffee. It spikes and then it drops off. So then you're going to need more. You need another spike and another drop. It's not like true happiness where you're feeling good like that. It's more of a spike up and down. So they constantly need to be making themselves feel powerful or superior. So what they do is the ego always tries to make a winner-loser type scenario. So if they see you being happy and laughing and having a good time, then that means you're a winner. And if you're a winner, then by default, that makes them a loser. Right? So just by you being happy and authentic and, living your life, that could be pushing their buttons, right? Because they're coming from their ego. Now, obviously, the opposite to the ego is the authentic self. So when I talk about the authentic self, I'm talking about the gut instincts or the heart. The heart, when the heart sees someone else happy, that makes us happy too, right? We reflect. If someone wins, that makes us feel good because we're happy for them. If someone's succeeding, we feel supportive and gratitude and love and happiness towards that person, whereas the ego is the opposite. The ego will get jealous, insecure, and also get that tall poppy syndrome type thing where they want to cut that person down and bring them back down to the level. And it's all driven by their ego. So people that are narcissistic are living inside their head. They're listening to that negative voice in their head, and that's driving their internal world, right? They're not connected to their authentic self. They say they are, but they're not. And the reason you can tell they're not is you just got to listen to their actions. The other one you can do is listen to their voice, right? I find that people that are connected to their authentic self, they just sound more grounded, right? They just sound more genuine. They just sound more authentic in their voice tone. Once you listen for it, you'll start to notice the pattern that I'm talking about. The narcissistic people are very factual, very, not kind of monotone, but there's almost like a lack of emotion in what they're saying. Now that I've told you, listen for it and you'll spot it, because there's probably a few people in your mind while I'm talking and you're thinking about them while you're watching this. Just listen to how they talk next time when you're playing. You're off. There's a lack of lack of emotional heart behind what they're saying, and it's a lot of very thought-driven. Another reason that they do it is because you may have hurt them and pushed their button years ago, like years and years ago, back when you were kids, primary school, high school, and they never forget about it. And the reason for this is narcissists have an inability to let go of shit, right? They say they do, and they're the first to tell you, oh, I've let go of that years ago and I don't think about that anymore. Bullshit. And the reason that it's bullshit is because to truly let go of something, you need to do some kind of personal development work where you're going inside and you're finding memories and you're flipping memories and you're getting rid of negative emotions out of your body that are trapped inside your body. Personal development type work. So those who have done the coaching with me or similar type stuff will know what I'm talking about when I talk about personal development work. You've kind of got to go in and reflect through your part, like your life and things that you've done, and go through memories and learn lessons from memories and all that kind of stuff. Narcissists aren't doing that type of stuff because they're too scared. They're too scared to go inside, because once they do, they're going to realize how many people they've hurt along the way and that how deep-seated the personality trait is, and they're too scared to do that, right? So they're the first to say that they've let go of things and they forgive people and all that kind of stuff, but they haven't. Right, unless they've done the personal development work, in my eyes, I just don't believe it. I just don't think that that's a genuine thing that they're saying. I think that they're being dishonest because of the inability to let go. Now, because they have an inability to let go, it starts to force them to obsess over it, right? Because it's been there for years and they're constantly thinking about it. For probably not a day would go by where they don't think about it. And then obviously days when they've had multiple buttons pushed, they're going to think about it more and more. Right, so it's always in their mind, and then they're always going to want some kind of revenge. So they're always going to be doing something to hurt you some way, right? If they can't get to you directly, they'll try and get to your family, they'll try and get to your friends, they'll try and get to the people you work with. They'll find someone in your web where they can start to try and affect you, and they'll know along the grapevine or somehow that it will get back to you somehow, and that's how they'll try and do it, because they'll know that that's going to push your buttons, and they're going to try and get back to you that way. And then obviously they're going to deny it because they believe their own lies. And the thing is, they're so subtle with how they do it. Like, think of it, if it's 3 or 4 degrees of separation where they're doing it, so they're talking to someone who's 4 degrees of separation from you, it's hard to prove how that went along the grapevine and affected you somehow. And it makes you seem like you're creating a lot of drama and talking shit and trying to do all that to prove how they did it. So they're quite cunning and smart with how they do that. But that would be another way of how they do it and why they do it. So a lack of personal development work says to me that they're not like that. So to me, with narcissists, like, there's obviously different degrees of it, like depending on how deep-seated it is and can they change is what I'm getting to. Is a narcissist, is their ability to change in them? Look, it can happen. It's very rare. I've seen it happen with my own eyes, but it is very, very rare. For it to happen, they've actually got to hit a true rock bottom where they're going to lose the lot. Like their family, their kids, their business, they're going to lose the whole lot, and it kind of wakes them up. But I also think that some people are more narcissists through a situation. Like it's the situation they're in which is bringing out the worst in them, versus some where it's more deep-seated, where it's kind of like, it's not even the situation. You can take them out of situation and they'll create more narcissistic type situations if you put them somewhere else, right? So I think that there's different degrees on it from what I've experienced. But yeah, so it can be fixed, but it's very, very hard. So 90% of them or more can't be fixed. From my experience at the moment, I may change that number down the track, but that's probably what it is right now. All right, so the solutions. So people say that people can only hurt you if you allow it, right? So it's a common saying for people to say like that. But what I know is that unless you have a technique which allows you to release emotions out of your body and buttons that get pushed, unless you've got a technique that can release the buttons that have been pushed, it's going to affect you. It's going to hurt you. And the reason is because when a button gets pushed and activates an emotion, emotions are 40,000 times stronger than thoughts, right? So if someone's hurt you, there's no, oh, it's going to be all right, I'm happy, I can get on with it. The thought's going to do basically nothing, right? It's very few people that can change their thoughts and it changes their emotional state. Very few, right? For most people, when the button gets pushed, that emotion is 40,000 times stronger than your thoughts. So changing your thoughts isn't going to do anything. You've got to know how to change the buttons. You've got to know how to switch the buttons off and release emotions out of your body. My resilience techniques can do that. So the reason my resilience techniques are so powerful is because I'm using a system and a technique that most people are unaware of, and it goes to a really deep point where most people don't know how to access. And the reason that it works is because thoughts connect to emotions and emotions connect to memories, right? So that's the missing link. Emotions connect to memories. So if you change a memory, that changes the emotion, which changes the thought, right? So most people try and change their emotion by changing their thoughts. It's not going to work, right? Trying to change an emotion with another emotion, that's not really going to work either. You need to link the emotion to a specific memory, and once you know how to access that specific memory, you can then change and alter that memory, which therefore changes and alters the emotion, which changes and alters your thoughts, right? So that's the concept. My resilience techniques can do that. And then therefore it starts to clear all the negative thoughts out of your head, so you don't have to fight the battle all day. Really, really powerful. All right, so to combat what the narcissists do, obviously the resilience techniques is a must. Learning the life lessons is a huge one as well. So these people are teaching us through opposites, right? So a good teacher will either show you exactly what to do or what not to do. So in this case, they're showing you what not to do. So when they're being selfish, they're reminding you to be selfless. And if they're being manipulative, I feel the opposite of manipulative would be, so manipulative people are hard to get along with. So the opposite of someone who's hard to get along with is easygoing, right? So when they're being manipulative, they're teaching you to be easygoing. But I don't mean easygoing like a doormat. Easygoing, but also assertive and honest, right? That would be the opposite. Because they never apologize, they're reminding you to apologize. So I'm not talking about apologizing to them, but there may be other areas in your life where you need to apologize. Because they don't forgive, they're reminding you to forgive. Because they talk shit, they're reminding you to be honest and genuine. Instead of playing people off against one another, just don't talk shit about people behind their back. Simple as that. Like, if you got something to say to someone, say it to their face in a constructive way, so that they're understanding the lesson that you're wanting them to learn, or seeing it from that point of view. There's a good communication versus bad communication. So obviously trying to do it the good way. Narcissists are driven by their ego. So instead of being driven by your ego, be driven by your authentic self and your gut instincts. Instead of trying to create this superior, inferior, playing people off, see everyone as equal. Everyone has something to offer you. Everyone has something they can teach you. Everyone has the ability to make you smile and make you laugh if you give them the chance. If everyone's connected to their authentic self, connection is one of the greatest feelings in the world. When you're connected to someone and you're having great conversations and you're having a laugh with someone, there's no better feeling in the world than that. So who wouldn't want that? Like, if that's an option for you, I just don't get why people wouldn't be going for that. Why would you be creating negativity when you can be having a laugh, smiling, having a good chat, all of that type of stuff? Instead of obsessing over things, they're teaching you to be more balanced. And what else have we got there? They don't do any personal development work. So the opposite of doing no personal development work is doing some. You don't have to be doing a ton of it, but at least do something. Understanding how the human mind and the emotions work, like it's a mechanical thing. Understand the mechanics of how the human body works is only going to make you feel better, and it's only going to make a challenge in your life that's this big seem this big, because you've got ways of dealing with it that other people don't. So another tactic, apart from the resilience techniques, learn your life lessons, connect to your authentic self. So your authentic self, your heart and your gut instincts, it'll tell you what to say to people and what not to say. So you simply just close your eyes and you say, authentic self, should I say this to this person or not? And the authentic self will give you a yes or no answer. And then you can take it a step further. Authentic self, when I do talk to them, what points should I say? And the authentic self will say this, this, and that, but don't say that, that, and that. Right? So it's like a built-in coach that'll help coach you through social situations on what to say to certain people and things like that. It's really like massive benefit compared to not knowing how to do that. The other way to get past narcissists, once you've done those 2 steps, is to set goals. There's 7 areas of life. Get your goals cranking in all those areas. Link your goals to your values. Your values are what's most important to you, what makes you feel good. So for example, say in terms of your friendships, instead of being friends with narcissists, the opposite of a narcissist would be an authentic person. Say narcissists are dishonest and that pushes your buttons. Then if dishonesty pushes your buttons, then that means you value honesty. If they're being selfish and that pushes your buttons, then that means you value selfless, right? So someone who's selfless and honest, you can see where I'm going with it just by figuring out the opposites. Those are your values. So once you've found an authentic, honest, selfless person, then you link your goals to that. So what kind of experiences do I want to have with them? What are the things we want to do, the places we want to go, etc., etc. Link your goals then, but don't forget to do your values. And then have support. So if you've got no support while you're going through a situation from a narcissist, I know personally, they can break you to the point of rock bottom. They can destroy you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They can break you to the point where you're just about to die. And if you don't have the right support network around you, you're going to be doing it real tough. So getting the right people around you. And sometimes when I first started, I only had one person who I could trust, and that was my teacher when I was in jail, Maria. She was the only person who I trusted at that time in my life, and the things she was saying, it just seemed to make sense, but I didn't know if I could trust her or not. But I had to take the leap at some point, so I kind of cleared everyone else out of my life, and I just was focusing on what she was saying to me, and she was teaching me about the mind and the emotions and buttons, same as what I'm doing with you guys now. And she was the only person that I trusted at that moment in time. And through the things that she was teaching me, I started to figure out how I worked and how I operated. And once I did that, I learned how to trust myself. And once I trusted myself, I could then use my instincts and my authentic self to tell me who I could trust and who I couldn't. And just made me stronger and stronger and more confident in the process. So support networks, so your best support will come from your authentic self, because everywhere you go, it's with you. And it's never wrong. Like, how good's that? It's never ever wrong, not even once. So if you've got something inside of you that can offer you answers in otherwise situation where you could be getting it wrong, like, to me, it's a no-brainer. You're going to have that there. Builds trust, builds confidence, builds strength, leads to happiness, life's purpose. Like, sounds awesome, right? So that's your first form of support. Other than that, it's going to come from your partner, your family, your close friends, your teachers, your coaches, your mentors. So just having the right people set up in your life. So if you've got a really strong team backing you for situations when this type of stuff happens. But like I said, it's taken me years to build up a strong team around me. When I first started, it was me and my authentic self, and then me, my authentic self, and my teacher, Maria, and that was it. So I kind of started with a small team and then slowly built it up and then introduced people one at a time. All right, what else? Authentic self will lead you to like a loving, respectful, understanding personality. So again, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about in my book, Limitless, The Power of Your Authentic Self. If you'd like a copy, guys, comment the word book and I'll send you the link to my website to get your copy. All right, so just a quick recap. I won't go through the whole lot again, but just to recap, the main reason that they're doing it is a power play. They're trying to make you feel inferior. They're trying to make you feel negative so that they feel positive. So they get some form of temporary pleasure or good feeling out of it. They're doing it because they're coming from their ego, and their ego is the negative self. They're possibly doing it because they've got hurt from you or from someone else, could be from years ago that they haven't let go on because they have an inability to let go. And so they're obsessing over it. They're obsessing over ways of how they can get back at you and how they can push your buttons, and doing it in a real crafty way. And I'll give it to them. They're good at it. They're really good at it. And they can do it from 3 or 4 degrees of people away from you and finding a way to get it back to you to make it affect you. And they're good at that, and they can do that. What else? They're going to be like that until they do some kind of personal development work. So the thing with them is watch their actions, not their words, because they're very good at talking, but watch their actions. And generally it takes 3 weeks for a person to prove their actions. If they can hold their actions for 3 weeks, then there's a chance they're changing. But and it comes to personal development work, if they're not doing any personal development work, I would say there's 0 chance of changing despite what they say and promise you. And then the life lessons was just looking at them in terms of opposites. So what are they doing that you don't like? And the opposite of that is what you value. And that's really powerful from a spiritual and emotional point of view, because it's showing you what you want. And then once you've got a list of what you want, then your goal is to go and find people who match that list of values. My system or my method of dealing with people like this is using the resilience techniques to control your emotions. So a quick recap on that. Thoughts linked to emotions, emotions linked to memories. When you change the memories, it changes the emotion and turns the button off, and then changes your thoughts, makes your thoughts good again. Absolute dynamite. takes the power away from other people. So even if someone does push your button, you can just flick the button back off and go back to feeling good. So it's really powerful and strong in that sense. Connecting to your authentic self, so you're making good decisions and you're saying the right things. Setting goals in the 7 areas of life, so you've got things to look forward to other than that narcissist. You've got a whole life to look forward to. And then having the right support network around you. So your main support, your authentic self, and then your partner, your family, your friends, teachers, coaches, mentors. All right, awesome. Hope that answers that question for you that have been thinking about that. If you'd like any other questions answered, just send me a private message and I'll do my best to answer it in one of these live videos. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.